This is the daily dose of dopamine with Robert Cochran, almost PhD, and Susan Scarlett, first follower.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this follower was just reflecting on how easily you slid into a, a more academic kind of teaching, but made it very manageable for us, students of yours who may or may not have ever studied these same thinkers,
Yeah.
and brought us along with you on that journey of how to do this, how to be a storyteller and not be considered, I don't know, irrelevant or unscientific or a lightweight or whatever people said. We just had to get, we just had to move on to find different people to play with.
Well, the first thing I think we have to know in order to have a reasonable go forward is there a gap in the Parkinson's community between diagnosis and quality of life? Okay, I mean, pretty obviously, yes, right? Because defining what quality of life means, what does one do with the diagnosis, and it's such a well-known chasm that it really has this blunt reply of support group in response. Oh, you need to talk to somebody? Go to your local support group, big wide. And again, not to denigrate support groups generally, but they vary so widely based on whomever is running them. And, there may be great ones. I haven't experienced great support groups. There may well be great ones. Um, I've heard enough and seen enough to know that people need more structure and they need more than just the ability to vent. It's not a bad thing. They need more than that, though.
You know what? I never thought about this till just now, but in a funny kind of way, I almost think of Power for Parkinson's as a support group, which it isn't. It's a series of exercise
Right.
classes, but it's such a tightly knit and beloved community
Right.
that it kind of feels that way.
It's one of those funny things. If we get hung up in definitions and terms, you say, no, no, not a support group. And you can say, yeah, I'm also getting the support I need, however. I'm getting what a support group should do functionally, right? And I
Yes,
don't know,
and
yeah, I don't
yeah.
know the history of support groups enough to say, well, they were meant to do this. It might be something to look into. I know generally fall under social work right now, and social workers are some of my favorite people. Uh, Generally speaking, I've just met so many I like. That's Brene Brown is a master and PhD of social work, and so the calling and the art form is wonderful, and it is an art form. Um, at the same time, I don't know what the general expectations are for support groups, so that might be a dig and look type of thing.
And it's going to be so widely varied because all of us are different stages of the disease and our reaction to it. And that's why something like day one was so brilliant because it really asked us to look.
Well, and here's the interesting thing about that is you're right, the unexamined story, right? That's really where I'm at right now. We're affected. Stories start there, are something we do. We're neurologically hardwired. We've done them since the beginning of time. And you're either living by a story you're not aware of, or and therefore being affected, or you're actively engaged in your story, searching for more and working on a regular basis to shape. No one can control it, but you can shape the direction. Um, so those are your things you can possibly be. I brought the day one program to my dad's assisted living group today, and that's a much older group and people who are pretty far advanced in their Parkinson's. And Dad commented afterward what a wonderful group it was because he said, it really started off. We're in stage three, and I take it very slowly with this group. We meet once a month, and this is the third time we met in this regard. So we're on stage three, the refusal of the call. And at first, it was classic. Oh, I never refused the call. No, no, no. I got the diagnosis and I just dealt with it. That's fine. And then, you start peeling things back. And immediately, this woman who was praising the DBS she got, she goes, well, they want to put a second sensor in me. But I said, no way to that. And I go, so that's a refusal, just so you know. And it's not right or wrong. However,
Right? Just so you know.
it's interesting to watch people deny that they have a refusal in their life. I don't know if that's ego, protectionism. I'm not sure what that is, but it's very interesting.
Oh, it's very interesting. I think it's way more common than not.
Yeah. and you have to make people comfortable to allow them to do that. And you're right, that's the most important thing we do in Jam for Joy, any of our improv or day one, is to get a comfortable, trustworthy place where people can bring those stories forward. And that is your daily dose.